Hello, today we're going to take a look at a social network that's dedicated to educators. So to begin with, we're going to go to a site, edweb.net, and that should redirect you to this homepage. And the trend with many sites these days is to be very minimalistic on the homepage. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's hard to tell what the site does until you join. But Edweb does leave a lot of things here outside the login. So let's take a quick tour of the homepage to see what you can see. If we scroll down the page, they have a lot of webinars, and you can see that there are webinars on these dates in October. And if we switch to November, there are some more scheduled. And the further out you go, the fewer are scheduled, but they will fill up. There will be quite a few webinars, generally in a month. And it's giving you a brief description of what these may be. This is their blog, so the major way that they're kind of communicating and keeping you up to date. And then you have this main menu bar. So if you want to join a community, let's say that you're interested in early childhood. So there's two options, K-12 or early childhood. And if I click on that, I'll get a nice little introductory video and a series of communities that might be of interest to me. If I check the K-12 option, I'll get that same video, and you notice there are quite a few topics that are addressed through these communities. And each community is dedicated to a particular topic, which makes it particularly useful. The next link brings us to free webinars, so these are upcoming. And again, a calendar, so a different form, but a little more information than you had on the front page. PD ideas and info. Now, this is another place where they post. So this was posted on September 16th, but if you go back a few, you notice we're back to October 17th, 2014. So this is not really an area of the site that the Edweb people maintain too much. So probably not an area I'm going to check on too much. If you want to learn about the site itself, what their mission is, or anything like that, that would be about Edweb. And then there's a Get Help link that gives you video tutorials, a help section, frequently asked questions, etc. So, the best way to learn more about this is to join Edweb. I'm going to simply log in because I am a member, but it's a very typical process of joining. It is free. There'll never be a charge. So let's get started. Okay, I've logged into my page. This is the home page, and you can see that there's a feed of basically current things down the middle of the page. There's some links and advertisements. It's somewhat of a confusing page, actually. So I don't spend a lot of time here in particular. There is a link to take you to my colleagues. So it's possible to identify people in this site as being your colleagues and to associate yourself with them so you see things that they're doing. I haven't particularly participated in that element of the site. The area that I'm most interested in is the communities, and these are the communities I've joined under my communities. And you can see there's a series of them. Some are more active than others. But to start with, I want to identify which communities would be useful to you. And I'm going to go to Browse Communities. The little symbol represents things that you're a member of. Now you notice I'm a member of a fair number here, and that's because some are much more active than others. And so you're not going to be inundated with things every day from these communities. Very often what I'm interested in is webinars on particular topics, and they may come along every month, and they may come along a couple of times a year. Okay, very useful is the number of members. That's often an indicator of how vibrant or how useful a community might be, and you can see there are multiple pages. If I were to click on last, you'll find an awful lot of experiments in here. You'll find here, we're on page 66, so there are 66 pages of communities, but if you were to go backwards, I'm going to be on 63 now, and then 60, you'll notice many of these communities have a single member. And what that really reflects is someone experimenting with the site, creating a community. Now we're down to 2, but we're on page 54. So there's lots of things that have been created that were never really put into use. So more useful to us would be to go to the first page, and there's a substantial number of members in these communities. If I go to page 4, you can see that there is still a substantial number of members in a lot of these communities. So these are all possibilities, but past a certain point, they're not going to be useful to you. And basically, if you'd like, let me come back to the beginning. If you're interested in finding out what a community does, here's Early Childhood Learning Solutions. And you'll notice that this is a sponsored community. That means there's some company that has some arrangement with this. They've started it. And that can be good, or that can not be good. I mean, if you're in a community where the sponsor is simply trying to hawk their products, then that might not be of interest to you. But just because a community is sponsored doesn't mean that's necessarily the case. There certainly may be some connection there, but very often there are valuable webinars, etc., that are on general topics. Okay, and here's one, Digital Citizenship, sponsored by Semantic. It's a lot of good information on digital citizenship in there, and worth exploring, even though it's a sponsored community. Okay, let's check one out. Early Childhood Learning Solutions seems to be extremely popular, so let's try that one. It may well include a couple of videos, an introduction to let you know what this community is about. This looks to me at 47 minutes to be maybe an example of some kind of webinar they've put up. And on this page you're also going to find upcoming events. So October 20th at 2 p.m. There's going to be a webinar. So this is a community that's pretty active at this point. It'll show you a sampling of members. It can show you who the administrators are. One of the administrators obviously is the president of Frog Street Press. So that information is over here, but probably more useful is you'd like to see the types of things they've done in the past. Now this block over here is very limited at this point, and that's because you're not a member of this community. So if you wanted to join, it's as simple as clicking the Join Community button, and then click the Return to Community button, and you'll see that that menu has opened up to a great degree. So different types of things that may be in there. And this can vary from community to community. There can be more or less, but let's see, there's an early childhood blog. This was last posted to September 30th of this year, so this is September 15th, August 23rd, August 8th. So it looks like they're posting, and then back to May 20th and May 5th. It looks like they're posting mostly during the academic year and probably twice a month. And this one is an announcement of a webinar. This is also a webinar. Oh, these are all webinars. Okay, so they're basically posting to tell you when they have upcoming webinars, although that's not the only type of post that need be in there. There are discussion forums. I find that these are generally not used. People can post questions or comments and other people can respond to them. Very often you'll find people not terribly involved in that aspect. There are web links. I'm going to skip down a little bit. So this is just an opportunity for them to highlight particular links to particular resources out on the web. So that's, it's possible, depending on how they use it, that this can be of some value. The two that are of most value are the resource library, and this is how the things that they've posted or been part of are organized, so you can go back through an archive. School strategies for success, and if I click on that, let's see, the way they have it configured, here it is. This resource was posted August 28th, and it is something to download. And again, this all varies from community to community, which parts they use and how extensively they use them. The place that I normally go first is Webinar Archives. And a look in here is going to tell me that this community began in about 2014. And they've been pretty active. They're fairly steadily active. You can see February, March, April, May of 2016, and then again in August and September. So let's see if there's anything from chaos to calm, building a school family. Okay. When you click on it, these are the resources associated with that particular webinar. And this is the recording. So this is going to be the most useful one. And you can watch the webinar recording here. They will ask you for your full name, which I'm just going to put in a short name. And I'm going to use the same address that I used to register for the site. So if you're concerned at all about using an address, you should always have a web address that's just for registering for different things and is a throwaway, more or less. It collects your junk and doesn't associate other more personal things with you. So you should always have an email address for that purpose. And here you go. So you can go through this using the progress bar at the bottom, or certainly you can just play the webinar. Unfortunately, a lot of these don't have an option to play at an advanced speed, which I like, so that I can preview them quickly. Now I've returned to Edweb, and perhaps this early childhood learning solutions is not the community for me. So I can re-enter it, and it's very easy to quit the community. There's a quit this community button at the bottom. If you change your mind, you could rejoin it at any time. So it's a very quick process to join, sample a community, and then leave it if you don't like it. Okay, I find those to be the most useful features of this particular site. I hope you'll give it a try, see if there's something there that's of benefit to you.